countdown has begun.
I'm in the picture-taking business. I'm going to affiliate with a think tank to kind of rethink what I think.
Why don't you call for a toast? Call for a toast. I called for a toast.
I feel compelled to leave this city
In exactly...
Hold it.
101 days.
What a 101. Wow, by Monday it'll be less than 100.
How about that? The final 100 days is here.
Oh, yeah. John and Ken Show. John Cobell and Ken Shampoo. KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio.
Again, though, Garcetti Gruel.
Hey!
Yay, which G do you want?
Can they be worse? We'll find out. Or will Tony Villar go down as the worst mayor in the history of Los Angeles?
Wow.
I mean, what's the competition for that title, huh? Yikes. So much degradation, so much destruction, crumbling roads, crumbling sidewalks, crumbling everything.
They're all crumbling. Mr. Pothole King.
Fat union bosses running around with wads of cash in their hand. Used to be our tax money.
We'll never get an interview with Tony Villar, not even when he's at that think tank trying to rethink what he thinks. What do you think? But he did sit down with Pat in the Hat this week, otherwise known as Pat Morrison, from KPCC Public Radio, and she also does a column in the LA Times where she has these conversations with well-known people. And we're going to play you a couple of clips, which John is just reading the transcript, and he is completely irate without even hearing it.
Well, you know what? Because my opinion is that Tony Villar suffers from a complex narcissistic disorder. And I didn't realize that this, I'd heard the word narcissistic, right? But, as life goes on and you run across bizarre characters in your life, I understand it in a very deep way. Everything that processes through his brain, he looks at it as how it affects him, how he feels, what's his reaction to it. It's never about you. It's never about the city, the taxpayers, the city. No, it's always about him. And this, to me, is classic. You listen to Pat the Hat talk about the way Los Angeles is today, and listen to Tony Villar's immediate response, and it's everything you need to know about this crackpot. Roll.
Why, in spite of all this that you've said, the shorthand sense of L.A. is a city that's broke, it's broken, the pension system's in the red, the trees are trimmed once every 50 years, our water system is 100 years old. Why still does it seem not to be functioning the way people think it should be?
Well, look, I'll be honest, and I know you work for that newspaper, but the newspaper of record in this town doesn't cover a city hall in the way that you see in most towns. I was with Mayor Rahm Emanuel and Cory Booker. They couldn't believe that the mayor of L.A. is almost never on the front page of this newspaper, good or bad.
Stop.
He just gave that answer like 2 weeks ago. What was that issue? It was about why people didn't vote.
Right.
That's right. And he does get to that at the end of this clip.
She was...
So it's amazing.
She was as sharp as I've ever heard her. Okay? I mean, she went through the
trees are trimmed
once every 50 years.
I really heard that one before.
100-year-old water system. The pension system's broke. Basically nothing works. And he's been the mayor for nearly 8 years. And his first reaction is, other mayors are shocked that I'm not on the front page of the LA Times every day.
He's a name dropper and an ego case.
Wow! What has that got to do with anything? You don't have to be on the front page to pave the roads and fix the sidewalks, replace the water system, trim the trees, tell the unions no. You don't have to be on the front page.
He's making it sound like if people know about this stuff, I'll do something. I don't.
If I was on the front... All right. I'll play along here. Let's put you on the front page every day. Does that mean the roads get paved? How does that work? Does that mean the water system is replaced? Does that mean the trees get trimmed? The sidewalks are fixed? Does that mean the pensions are cut? What are you talking about? How crazy are you? Start that again. I have to listen to that again. This is my all-time favorite Tony Villar clip here.
In spite of all this that you've said, the shorthand sense of L.A. is a city that's broke, it's broken, the pension system's in the red, the trees are trimmed once every 50 years, our water system is 100 years old. Why still does it seem not to be functioning the way people think it should be?
Well, look, I'll be honest, and I know you work for that newspaper, but the newspaper of record in this town doesn't cover a city hall in the way that you see in most towns. I was with Mayor Rahm Emanuel and Cory Booker. They couldn't believe that the mayor of L.A. is almost never on the front page of this newspaper, good or bad.
Wow.
The fact is, you hear a lot of talk about how bad things are. There's a lot of great things that are happening in this town. And that's one of the things that contributes to the malaise and the lack of participation. It's an abomination, an absolute abomination that we had a 14% turnout for mayor. You probably don't know, and you work for that newspaper of record, that we passed, when we went from 6% to 11% for pensions, that's the most far-reaching effort in the nation.
That was really a
And
reach.
yet why was that necessary?
Let's stop it there.
Wow.
Well, you know what? I kind of figured this out. Now, we played the first part of the clip, and I'm thinking, well, if I'm on the front page of the paper, people become more aware of all the problems we have, and then there's more awareness to get things done. But actually what he's saying is that I'm on the front page of the paper because I'll be giving all the good news. And the Times doesn't do that. The Times only puts all these negative things in there, and then people give up. They don't vote. No, that's his logic. They turn away.
I agree.
Wow. But if you put me on the front page with the great things that are happening, people are excited again. They vote. And I still don't see how the potholes are filled.
No, it doesn't.
I still don't see how the trees are trimmed and the water system's fixed. But anyway, he's basically saying, oh, I just want a propaganda piece.
There is a
Maybe I'll start my own paper when I'm done as mayor, and I'll just put all the good things that I've done.
The happy news.
What a loony.
There is a road 3 blocks from me. I turn on it every day, several times a day. You'd think I'd be jaded now, right? Because I've lived in this neighborhood for 4.5 years. I see this road every day. Just yesterday, I took a left turn, went down the road, and I marveled at the crumbling of the road. I just was It's like, this just can't be. How could it be this bad? It's a nice neighborhood. How could it be this bad for so many years? And there's nobody to fix it. Nobody wants to spend the money to fix it. And this jackass actually protests that he's not on the front page of the LA Times enough to give happy talk so people would ignore the crumbling roads and sidewalks and the crumbling water system and the overgrown trees and everything else that's wrong in this stinking city.
And as you heard there at the end, and we'll continue this in a moment, he suddenly takes like this weird non sequitur turn into the employee pension contribution question. Well, let's listen.
And yet, why was that necessary in the first place? There were raises during the mid 2000s, 2006. So
the biggest reason, yes, and I've said I wouldn't have done that if I had known that we were going to go into the worst recession. But let's correct the record here. The biggest reason why pensions
Listen to this
are a
whopper.
problem, not just in the city of L.A., not just in California, but in virtually every big city, every school district around the country, was that the economy went southward, and because the truth of the matter is they're no longer sustainable. Employees have to pay a lot more. I've had the courage to tell our employees that.
All right, stop it there. So, again, he's hiding behind the economy. What was interesting about that clip is he tried to cut her off before she got the rest of the question out. And you see how his brain slowly absorbs the fact that she said, you were giving out raises in 2005 and 2006. What were you doing? What were you thinking? And it finally caught up to him there, and he kind of slows down. Well, yeah, yeah. And, well, you know, who knew? And it's the old political. I hate that. Well, we heard that in Sacramento, too. Who knew the economy was going to dump? Get out of here.
You stupid buffoons. You have a recession every few years. There's always recessions. There was a recession at the beginning of the decade. There was a recession in the early 90s. There were several recessions in the 70s and early 80s.
They don't care. They want to continue to spend like it's going to be boom times for decades. That's how they work. And that has to end. And I don't know how to kill that. I just don't know how. We saw it with Gray Davis. We saw it with Schwarzenegger. And we saw it with these idiots in L.A.
Because their jobs depend on obeying union orders because the unions finance their campaigns. And more importantly, they'll finance an opponent against you in the next election. You can't run for anything without pleasing the unions. Otherwise, in the next primary, you're dead. Your opponent gets all the money, and you get painted as a pedophile or worse.
All right. There's one more clip when we come back. We'll play it for you. And he's, of course, asked about his future plans and why didn't he get to Washington, D.C., as everybody speculated he would with some sort of Obama position.